सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा मृतङ्गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the supreme God incarnate, who came to establish universal religion. Let us pray to him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It has got various instructions on different topics for the upliftment of spiritual life. For today's class I have chosen the subject Sri Ramakrishna's inspiring teachings. It was a holiday. Lots of devotees came to Dakshineshwar to see Sri Ramakrishna. Adhar, M and Rakhal's father were also there. Rakhal's father-in-law was also present. They were all seated on the floor of the master's room. So Sri Ramakrishna would always give most practical, simple, effective instructions. Rakhal's father-in-law was a devotee of God. He asked the master, "Sir, can one realize God while leading the life of a householder?" This question keeps on coming to the people living family life. They feel they are doomed. They can't rise at all. But it is not so. Sri Ramakrishna answered him with a smile. Why not? But you must know the technique of living in this world. Don't live in a haphazard way, carelessly, but live in the world like a mud fish. The mud fish lives in the mud, but itself remains unstained. Or live in the world like a loose woman. She attends to her household duties, but her mind is always on her sweetheart. Do your duties in the world, fixing your mind on God. But this is extremely difficult. I said to the members of the Brahma Samaj, suppose a typhoid patient is kept in a room where there are jars of pickles and pitchers of water. How can one expect the patient to recover? The very thought of spiced pickles brings water to one's mouth. To a man, woman is like that pickle. The craving for the worldly things, which is chronic in man, is like the patient's craving for water. There is no end to this craving. The typhoid patient says, I shall drink a whole pitcher of water. The situation is very difficult. There is so much confusion in the world. If you go this way, you are threatened with a shovel. If you go that way, you are threatened with a broomstick. Again, in another direction, you are threatened with a shoe beating. Besides, one cannot think of God unless one lives in solitude. The goldsmith melts gold to make ornaments. But how can he do his work well if he is disturbed again and again? Suppose you are separating rice from bits of husk. You must do it all by yourself. Every now and then you have to take the rice in your hand to see how clean it is. But how can you do your work well if you are called away again and again? Then the devotee asked a question. What then is the way, sir? Sri Ramakrishna replied, there is a way. One succeeds if one develops a strong spirit of renunciation. Give up at once with determination what you know to be unreal. Once when I was seriously ill, I was taken to the physician Ganga Prasad Sen. He said to me, I shall give you a medicine, but you must not drink any water. You may take pomegranate juice. Everyone wondered how I could live without water, but I was determined not to drink it. I said to myself, I am a Paramahamsa, I am not a goose. I shall drink only milk. A Paramahamsa is one belonging to the highest order of monks. The word also means swan. There is a popular tradition in India that a swan can separate the milk from a mixture of milk and water. It is said that a secretion of acid turns the milk into curd, which the swan eats, leaving the water. You have to spend a few days in solitude. If you but touch the granny, an allusion to the game of hide and seek, you are safe. Turn yourself into gold and then live wherever you please. After realizing God and divine love in solitude, one may live in the world as well. That's why I ask youngsters to stay with me, for they will develop love of God by staying here a few days. After that, they can very well lead the life of a householder. Next, the problem of good and evil came for discussion. Devotee asked, if God is responsible for everything, then why should people speak of good and evil, virtue and vice? One commits sin also by the will of God. Isn't it so? Another devotee said, how can we understand the will of God? Sri Ramakrishna replied, there is no doubt that virtue and vice exist in the world, but God himself is unattached to them. There may be good and bad smells in the air, but the air is not attached to them. The very nature of God's creation is that good and evil, righteousness and unrighteousness will always exist in the world. Among the trees in the garden, one finds mango and jackfruit, and hog plum too. Haven't you noticed that even wicked men are needed? Suppose there are rough tenants on an estate, then the landlord must send a ruffian to control them. The conversation again turned to the life of the householder. Sri Ramakrishna said to the devotees, you see, by leading the life of a householder's life, a man needlessly dissipates his mental powers. The loss he thus incurs can be made up if he takes monastic life. The first birth is a gift of the Father. Then comes the second birth, when one is invested with the sacred thread. There is still another birth at the time of being initiated into monastic life. The two obstacles to spiritual life are lust and gold. Attachment to lustful activity diverts one from the way leading to God. Man doesn't know what it is that causes his downfall. Once, while going to the fort, a reference to the fort in Calcutta, Sri Ramakrishna said, I couldn't see at all that I was driving down a sloping road. But when the carriage went inside the fort, I realized how far down I had come. Alas, women keep men deluded. Captain says, my wife is full of wisdom. The man possessed by a ghost does not realize it. He says, why? I am all right. The devotees listen to this verse in deep silence. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, it is not lust alone that one should be afraid of in the life of the world. There is also anger. Anger arises when obstacles are placed in the way of desire. Yam said. At mealtime, sometimes a cat stretches out its paw to take the fish from my plate, but I cannot show any resentment. Master said, why? You may even beat it once in a while. What's the harm? The worldly man should hiss, but he shouldn't pour out his venom. He must not actually injure others, but he should make a show of anger to protect himself from enemies. Otherwise, they will injure him. But a sannyasi need not even hiss. Devotee said, I find it is extremely difficult for a householder to realize God. How few people can lead the life you prescribe for them. How few people can lead the life of you prescribe for them. I haven't found any. Master said, why should that be so? I have heard a deputy magistrate named Pratap Singh. He is a great man. He has many virtues. Compassion and devotion to God. He meditates on God. Once he sent for me. Certainly there are people like him. The practice of discipline is absolutely necessary. Why shouldn't a man succeed if he practices sadhana? But he doesn't have to work hard if he has real faith in his Guru's words. Once Vyasa Maharshi was about to cross the Jamuna when the gopis also arrived there, wishing to go to the other side. But no ferry boat was in sight. They said to Vyasa, Revered sir, what shall we do now? Don't worry, said Vyasa, I will take you across. But I am very hungry. Have you anything for me to eat? The gopis had plenty of milk, cream and butter with them. Vyasa ate it all. Then the gopis asked, well sir, what about crossing the river? Vyasa stood on the bank of the Jamuna and said, O Jamuna, if I have not eaten anything today, then may your waters part so that we may all walk to the other side. No sooner did the sage utter these words than the waters of the Jamuna parted. The gopis were speechless with wonder. He ate so much just now, they said to themselves, and he says, if I have not eaten anything. Vyasa had the firm conviction that it was not himself, but the Narayana who dwelt in his heart who had partaken of the food. Then, result of yoga through bhakti. Sri Ramakrishna dwell upon this subject. Shankaracharya was a Brahmagyani, to be sure, but at the beginning he too had the feeling of differentiation. He didn't have absolute faith that everything in the world is Brahman. One day, as he was coming out of the Ganges after his bath, he saw an untouchable, a butcher, carrying a load of meat. Inadvertently, the butcher touched his body. Shankara shouted angrily, Hey, there, how dare you touch me? Revered sir, said the butcher, I have not touched you, nor you have touched me. The pure self cannot be the body, nor the 5 elements, or the 24 cosmic principles. Then Shankara came to his senses. Once Jadabharat was carrying King Rahuguna's palanquin and at the same time giving a discourse on self-knowledge. The king got down from the palanquin and said to Jadabharat, Who are you, pray? The latter said, I am not this, I am the pure self. He had perfect faith that he was the pure self. I am he, I am the pure self. That is the conclusion of Jnanis. But the Bhaktas say, the whole universe is the glory of God. Who would recognize a wealthy man without his power and riches? But it is quite different when God himself, gratified by the aspirant's devotion, says to him, You are the same as myself. Suppose a king is seated in his court, and his cook enters the hall, sits on the throne, and says, "O king, you and I are the same." People will certainly call him a madman. But suppose one day the king, pleased with the cook's service, says to him, "Come, sit beside me." There is nothing wrong in that. There is no difference between you and me. Then, if the cook sits on the throne with the king, there is no harm in it. It is not good for ordinary people to say, "I am he." The waves belong to the water. Does the water belong to the waves? The upshot of the whole thing is that no matter what path you follow, yoga is impossible unless the mind becomes quiet. The mind of a yogi is under his control. He is not under the control of his mind. When the mind is quiet, the prana stops functioning. Then one gets kumbhaka. One may have the same kumbhaka through bhakti yoga as well. The prana stops functioning through love of God too. In the kirtan, the musician sings, "Nitai amar mata hati." My Nitai dances like a mad elephant. Repeating this, he goes into a spiritual mood and cannot sing the whole sentence. He simply sings hati hati. When the mood deepens, he sings only ha ha. Thus his prana stops through ecstasy and kumbhaka follows. Suppose a man is sweeping a courtyard with his broom, and another man comes and says to him, "Hello, so-and-so is no more. He is dead." Now, if the dead person was not related to the sweeper goes on with his work, remarking casually, "Oh, that's too bad. He is dead. He was a good fellow." The sweeping goes on all the same. But if the dead man was his relative, then the broom drops from his hand. "Oh," he exclaims, and he too drops to the ground. His prana has stopped functioning. He can neither work nor think. Haven't you noticed among women that if one of them looks at something or listens to something in speechless amazement, the other woman says to her, "What? Are you in ecstasy?" In this instance too, the prana has stopped functioning, and so she remains speechless with mouth agape. It will not do merely to repeat, "I am he, I am he." There are certain signs of a jnani. Narendra has big protruding eyes. He also has good eyes and forehead, pointing to a devotee. All men are by no means on the same level. It is said that there are 4 classes of men: the bound, the struggling, the liberated, and the ever free. It is also not a fact that all men have to practice spiritual discipline. There are the ever free and those who achieve perfection through spiritual discipline. Some realize God after much spiritual austerity, and some are perfect from their very birth. Prahlada is an example of the ever free. Eternally perfect sages like Prahlada also practice meditation and prayer, but they have realized the fruit, God vision, even before their spiritual practice. They are like gourds and pumpkins, which grow fruit first and then flowers. Looking at Rakhal's father, Sri Ramakrishna said, "Even though an eternally perfect soul is born in a low family, still he retains his innate perfection. He cannot do anything else. A pea germinating in a heap of cow dung still grows into a peat plant. God has given on some greater power than to others. In one man you see it is as the light of a lamp, in another as the light of a torch." One word of Vidyasagar revealed to me the utmost limit of his intelligence. When I told him of the different manifestations of God's power in different beings, he said to me, "Sir, has God given then greater power to some than to others?" At once I said, "Yes, certainly he has. If there are not different degrees of manifestation of his power, then why should your name be known far and wide? You see, we have come to you after hearing of your knowledge and compassion. You have not grown 2 horns, have you?" With all his fame and erudition, Vidyasagar said, such a childish thing as has God given greater power to some than to others? The truth is that when the fisherman draws his net, he first catches a big fish like trout and carp. Then he stirs up the mud with his feet, and small fish come out, minnows, mudfish, and so on. So also, unless a man knows God, minnows and the like gradually come out from within him. What can one achieve through mere scholarship? See how nicely Sri Ramakrishna has given pointed, inspiring teachings to understand and practice spirituality. Page 920. Hari Ballabh Bose, a cousin of Balram, came to see Sri Ramakrishna. He saluted the master respectfully. Hari Ballabh was a government pleader at Cuttack. He did not approve of Balram's visiting the master, especially with the ladies of the family. Balram had said to his cousin, "You had better meet him first, then he can say whatever you like." Presently the master and Hari Ballabh became engaged in conversation. Master said, "Can you tell me how I shall get well? Do you think this is a serious illness?" Hari Ballabh said, "Sir, the doctors can tell you better than I about that." Master said, when the women take the dust off my feet, I say to myself that they are saluting God who dwells inside me. I look at it in that way." Hari Ballabh said, "You are a holy man. All should take the dust off your feet. What harm is there in that?" Master said, "You may speak that way about sages like Dhruva, Prahlada, Narada, or Kapila, but who am I? Please come again." Hari Ballabh said, "I shall certainly come. Because you attract me, you don't have to urge me." Hari Ballabh was about to depart. He saluted Sri Ramakrishna and was going to take the dust of the master's feet when Sri Ramakrishna moved his feet away. But Hari Ballabh persisted. He took the dust of Sri Ramakrishna's feet against the latter's wish. When he stood up, the master stood up too to show him courtesy. The master said to him, "Balram feels unhappy because I don't go to his house. I thought of visiting you all there one day, but then I was afraid you might say to Balram, 'What asked him to come here? Who asked him to come here?'" Hari Ballabh said, "Who has been telling you things? Please don't let such a thought enter your mind." Hari Ballabh departed. Master said to him, "He is a devotee of God. Why else would he have forcibly taken the dust off my feet? I told you the other day that in Samadhi I had seen Dr. Sarkar and another person. He is the other person. So he has come." Yam said, "Yes, sir, undoubtedly he is a Bhakta." Master, "How guileless he is." Yam went to Dr. Sarkar's house to report Sri Ramakrishna's condition. The doctor talked to Yam about Sri Ramakrishna, Mahimacharana and the other devotees. Doctor said, "Mahimacharana didn't bring the book he promised to show me. He said he had forgotten all about it." "It's quite possible I am forgetful too," Yam said. "He has read a great deal." Doctor, "Then why is he in such a plight?" Referring to the master, doctor said, "What will a man accomplish with mere bhakti? He needs jnana too." Yam said, "Why? The master says that bhakti comes after jnana. But his conception of jnana and bhakti is quite different from yours. When he says that one obtains bhakti after jnana, he means that first comes the knowledge of reality and then bhakti. First the knowledge of Brahman and then bhakti. First the knowledge of God and then love for him. When you speak of jnana, you mean the knowledge obtained through senses. The jnana Sri Ramakrishna speaks of cannot be verified by our standards. The knowledge of reality cannot be tested by the knowledge obtained through the senses. But your jnana, the knowledge through the senses, can be verified. The doctor remained silent. Then he referred to the subject of divine incarnation. Doctor said, "What is this idea of divine incarnation? What is this taking the dust of a man's feet?" M said, "Why? You say that during your experiments in the laboratory, you go into ecstasy when you think of God's creation. Further, you feel the same emotion when you think of man. If that is so, why shouldn't we bow our heads before God? God dwells in the heart of man. According to Hinduism, God dwells in all beings. You have not studied this subject much. Since God dwells in all beings, what is wrong in saluting a man?" Sri Ramakrishna says that there is a greater manifestation of God in certain things than in others, as the sun is reflected better by water and by a mirror than by other objects. Water exists everywhere, but is most apparent in a river or lake. We bow down to God and not to man. God is God, not man is God. God cannot be known through reasoning. All depends on faith. Of course, I am repeating to you what Sri Ramakrishna says. Dr. Sarkar presented M with one of his books, The Psychological Basis of Psychology. He wrote on the first page, "As a token of brotherly regards." Let's stop here. Any questions to ask? See, human life is given to us by the divine power so that we can experience peace and happiness by realizing the truth. But what is happening is, mind is not diverted towards spirituality, it is diverted towards other things of the world. So naturally one becomes totally worldly. As a consequence, he suffers because of worldly involvement, and so he will not be able to grasp the idea of the divine. So it's very important to read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna every day, part by part, and dwell upon its meaning and try to practice in life. That's what is needed. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O serve, drown deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are sad, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust are the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for a day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all realize what is good. May none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous reign tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bonds. May the free make others free. May good breed all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the world be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be free from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.